dialogue. It's midday in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Cotonou. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink, and here are the top stories. Malian army neutralized terrorists attempting to infiltrate Faladia in the capital Bamako. Ghana's largest opposition party, NDC, holds nationwide demonstrations over alleged discrepancy in the voter register.
What we are doing is to prevent war.
President Tinubu visits persons displaced by floods in Borno State, promises to support them get back on their feet.
It is our problem, not just your problem, not the problem of community alone.
And Guinea-Bissau President Embalo changes stance to contest presidency for second term. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is a more edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and a warm welcome to our listeners across the sub-region. Mali's army said on Tuesday that the capital Bamako was under control after insurgent attacks at gendarmerie training school, firing gunshot that resonated across the city before dawn. According to residents in the neighborhood of Banankabugu, people heading to the mosque for morning prayers turned back as shots rang out. Ogeberika brings us more details.
In an official statement, the General Staff of the Armed Forces EMGA indicated that a group of terrorists attempted to infiltrate the Falaje Gendarmerie School. According to the EMGA, the Malian Armed Forces, FAMA, thanks to a prompt and coordinated response, quickly took control of the situation. Combined operations are currently underway in the area to neutralize any residual threat. EMGA reassured the population that the situation is under control and urged residents to remain calm. The statement also emphasized that safety instructions have been issued and that residents must strictly adhere to them. EMGA strongly recommends avoiding the affected areas and assures that official information will be communicated regularly to keep the population informed of the development of the situation. The General Staff also praised the responsiveness of the farmer and thanked the security forces for their commitment in the face of this attempted attack. Military installations have not been spared. In 2014, the Kati military base near Bamako suffered a deadly attack, followed by another in March 2022 when armed groups again struck this strategic base, causing casualties among Malian soldiers. Mali is one of several West African countries fighting an Islamist insurgency that took roots in the arid north in 2012.
Ogeberika reporting there. Let's head now to Ghana, where the largest opposition political party, the National Democratic Congress NDC, on Tuesday commenced a nationwide demonstration. The protest is to register their displeasure with the Electoral Commission on some alleged discrepancies they have identified in the current voter register. The simultaneous demonstration across all the 16 regions of Ghana is aimed at demanding a forensic audit of the voter register by an independent body for a credible and transparent December polls. From Accra, Christopher Ticho has more report.
A call for a forensic cleanup of the voter register is what has emanated into today's Enough is Enough demonstration, championed by the opposition National Democratic Congress, the NDC. This exercise is replicated across the 16 regions of the country, and in the capital here, the message is so strong. A call for a forensic audit of the voter register going into the 2024 general elections, and individuals here with placards with some inscriptions including Jane Mensah, you don't have Ghana at heart, okay? Jane Mensah, don't bend down Ghana. Jane Mensah, don't set Ghana on fire. No clean register, no peace. These are some of the strongest inscriptions on various placards here, held strongly by Ghanaians who have outreach trooped in their numbers, demanding for a forensic audit of the voter register going into 2024 general elections.
Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, Johnson Esiedun-Ketia, believes this is a cause for democracy and consolidating the gains of democracy.
What we are doing is to prevent war in this country. If you want to prevent war, you fight to remove everything that has the a tendency to generate into war.
You're live on West Africa Democracy Radio, and we want to find out from you, why are you here today?
We are here to defend our nation, Ghana. What is going on is what happened to Cote d'Ivoire, and they bend their country like a baller. We don't want hereby this case happens to Ghana here.
Let them have a forensic audit so that everybody will be at peace.
Looking at what the Electoral Commission is doing, the Electoral Commission is trying to rig this election for the incumbent government.
We want the Electoral Commission to do the right thing. That's why we are here.
Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram on the ticket of the NDC, Sam Nati George, says this is a call for action, and he has been outlining the next step after this.
The EC must accept the demand for an independent audit. We don't want to be favored, so we want it to happen in front of everybody. Let all the political parties be there, and let us all agree that the register is free and fair. If we agree the register is free and fair, we'll go into the elections.
Songs of revolution, right here in Accra. The charming, the jamming, the enthusiasm, and the excitement on the faces of people, calling for a new dawn in Ghana's democracy and in Ghana's electioneering processes. For West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Christopher Aticho.
All the way from Ghana now, in Togo, the national delegate of the Union of Socialist Democrats of Togo, UDS Togo, has revised its position on the Constitution of Togo, condemning and denouncing it. At a convention in early September, Antoine Foley announced a revision to the stance of the group that was first made on August 24 via a private local radio station. In its revised stance, the UDS Togo said, and I quote, "This constitution was imposed on us and we have to deal with it. Merely formal protests will not force the regime to back down. The opposition must accept that this constitution is now in force." End of quote. The UDS Togo also made several recommendations calling on the opposition to form a bloc to strategically resist what it describes as the monarchical drift of power.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Well, how is democracy faring in Guinea during this transition period? Well, this question was at the center of a reflection session on Monday in Conakry between civil society actors and political parties on the occasion of the International Democracy Day. According to observations made by these actors, the breakdown of dialogue between key stakeholders and the transitional authorities, the restriction of freedoms, and the closure of some private media indicate that democracy is not doing well in Guinea. Well, here's Chernafa Ibrahim about his report, voiced by Etiso.
3 years after the military took over, civil society and political actors present a bleak assessment of democracy in Guinea. Listen to Halimatu Kamara, a lawyer and member of the Guinean Organization for the Defense of Human Rights.
Nous sommes dans une situation où il est difficile de parler de démocratie parce que aujourd'hui.
We are in a situation where it is difficult to talk about democracy because today there is a palpable tension. It feels like there has been a lack of political dialogue. We are also experiencing a shrinking civic space and a series of arbitrary arrests. Therefore, we realize that all these factors are critical and democracy is struggling to exist or take root.
La démocratie a du mal à exister ou à se mettre en place.
For political actors, the broken dialogue between the ruling military and the political class, especially the opposition, creates a tense political climate. Mohamed Cisse is one of the leaders of the PED, the party of former Prime Minister Lansana Kouyaté.
The
observation is that democracy is in a fragile state when the parties governing a nation can no longer communicate. It becomes a problem. We hope that those who should initiate such a process will take responsibility to ensure that all divisions are resolved.
On the occasion of International Democracy Day, the Guinean authorities did not make any statements or conduct any activities. Civil society organizations concerned about the state of democracy in Guinea plan to submit a monitoring report to the government on the state of democracy in the country since the military coup on September 5, 2021.
That was General Alpha Ibrahim Balde's report, voiced by Eche Atiso. In Guinea-Bissau, President Umaro Sissoco Embalo has given indications that he could run for a second term in office. This newest update comes a few days after Embalo announced that he would not run for president in the 2025 elections. While in a meeting with members of his party, the head of state of Guinea-Bissau finally said he would adhere to the decision of his political party. Augustine Koli completes this report filed in by Afa Abubakar.
During a meeting with his supporters on Sunday, President Umaro Sissoco Embalo said that if his party, Madam G15, reaches 8, he will consider running for a second term as president. This is a backpedaling that does not surprise observers of the political scene in Bissau, as President Embalo had already said that he would not let his opponents take over for him as they actively prepare for the 2025 presidential election. Umaro Sissoco Embalo therefore says he is ready to reverse his decision if his party wishes, and also says he remains entirely at their disposal. As a reminder, the president of Guinea-Bissau was elected in February 2020 for a 5-year term at the end of an election contested by the opposition. Since his election, he has tried to put the country on path to democratic stability, which it has not truly experienced since its independence in 1974. Ahead of the presidential election scheduled for 2025, Guinea-Bissau is already preparing for new legislative elections on November 24, following a dissolution of parliament in December 2023. The Minister of Finance announced the creation of a multi-sectoral ad hoc commission to guarantee the tax transparency of candidates. It will have to ensure that candidates for the legislative elections are in order with the tax authorities. The commission will be chaired by the judge of the tax court and will include representatives from the tax directorate, the budget, the public treasury, and the judicial police.
Augustine Koli voiced a report filed in by Afa Abubakar. Crossing over to Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has reassured the people of Borno State that he and his government will do all that is possible to ensure that they help them come out of the calamity that befell them due to the recent floods. The situation was compounded in the northeastern part of Nigeria after weeks of flooding across the country that have led to about 269 deaths and displaced more than 640,000 people, according to the latest data from the country's disaster management agency, NEMA. Northern Nigeria has been the most affected by the floods, the data showed. In August, the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency also warned of the rising water levels of the Niger River, one of the country's largest rivers, urging states to be on alert. On his return from the trip to China and the UK on Sunday night, President Tinubu paid a visit to one of the internally displaced persons camped in Maiduguri, pledging his support to help them get back on their feet.
We, as a government, as Nigerian people, will pledge with you that we will help in the rehabilitation and resolution of problems. Yeah, it is our problem, not just your problem, not the problem of community alone. For the people of Borno, Yobe, and other affected states, I say we will put together a very good program for Nigeria to recover from this calamity and do better in the interest of our people. I've been thinking of how do we tackle this kind of a problem, whether it's climate change or any other means. But there must be a disaster relief fund.
President Bola Tinubu, Nigeria's president, speaking there. Meanwhile, Nigeria's Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the first woman and first African to head the World Trade Organization, will seek a second 4-year term when her mandate expires next August, a spokesman said on Monday. According to a statement issued by Ismaila Dieng, it said the 70-year-old had taken into account the overwhelming and broad-based support expressed by members, for which reason she is seeking a second term. Okonjo-Iweala's current term at the helm of the 166-member WTO ends in August 2025. Since taking over in March 2021, she has hinged her leadership on breathing new life into the sclerotic organization. So far, no other candidates have come forward to contest the position with her. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM Dakar, and on our partner stations across the sub-region. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Malian army neutralized terrorists attempting to infiltrate Falade in the capital Bamako. Ghana's largest opposition party, NDC, holds nationwide demonstrations over alleged discrepancy in the voter register. President Tinubu visits persons displaced by floods in Borno State, promises to support them get back on their feet. And still ahead in the news, Gambia is hosting aviation safety experts as they commence a 5-day meeting in Banjul. We do have the guest interview, sport news, and of course, a press review. Please stay with us.
You are listening to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal.
Don't forget you can listen to us live on wadr.org, follow our live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Now, aviation experts, safety experts from across West Africa have commenced a pivotal 5-day meeting in Banjul, the Gambian capital, aimed at enhancing aviation safety across the region. The gathering, which began on September 16, 2024, brings together key stakeholders, including aviation regulators, airline operators, and safety analysts to address critical safety challenges and develop comprehensive safety plans. Our Banjul correspondent, Sankle Janko, has the rest of the story.
The primary objectives of the meeting includes reviewing current safety protocols, identifying common safety issues affecting West African aviation, and formulating strategies to improve safety standards. Mfanso Bojang is the Director General of the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority, GCAA.
You are aware that the main purpose of this 5-day event is to create awareness on the AFIRAS and also build capacity of representatives of aviation entities in the planning and implementation of National Aviation Safety Plan, which is aligned with the Global Aviation Safety Plan.
Participants will engage in collaborative discussions, share best practices, and analyze recent safety data to create actionable recommendations tailored to the regional context. Keba Lamin Jame is the Aviation Safety Officer for International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO Dakar office.
State authorities should provide sufficient resources, including qualified technical personnel. You are therefore invited to take through this workshop the ownership of the national and regional aviation safety plans, their development, implementation, and monitoring.
The event, according to experts, is a significant step towards strengthening regional aviation safety infrastructure and ensuring compliance with international safety standards. The outcome of the meeting is expected to yield a set of refined safety plans and initiatives that will be instrumental in promoting safer air travel across West Africa. For Newslink West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Sankula Janka reporting from Banjul.
This is the Newspaper Review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the Newspaper Review.
The Newspaper Review.
Well, we return to Accra and join Christopher Teacher for the Newspaper Review. Well, over to you, Chris.
Thank you very much and welcome to today's press review. Indeed, it is a double header today because today is also a demonstrating day by the opposition NDC in regard or in demand of a forensic audit of the 2024 voter register. But let's dive deeper into the major stories coming in from the dailies, and I will begin from the Daily Graphic, which says revive Akosombo textiles to create jobs. Akwemu Hene appeals to government and higher voter turnout expected in 2024 elections, a study shows. And front page also, 500,000 herbalists unlicensed, regulatory council begins clampdown. Story is on Daily Graphic, which says truth and accuracy every day. Away from Daily Graphic, let's turn attention to the Daybreak paper, which says freedom in truth. And front page, Mahama attacks clergy chiefs, slams for supporting NPP, and Mahama left tattered economy, says Dr. Domfe, who is an economist. Front page of Daybreak paper, elections not about insult, Baumia to Mahama. The Hawk newspaper this morning is reporting Minerals Commissions unveils new BPNE office tomorrow, and Dakar rejects blankets ban on small scale mining. That is also on the front page of the Hawk newspaper. ABC News, free SHS will collapse if NDC wins 2024 elections. And this is by a professor with the University of Professional Studies, Professor Isaac Boydie. That's what the paper says. He said, and Mahama left a tattered economy, not a robust one. Professor George Domfe. The Anchor
The Anchor newspaper revealing the truth. NAPO proposes National Anti-Galamsey Pact, invite NDC other political parties to sign. Mahama endorses For the Records book, and also obey Public Order Act to avoid trouble. Police to NDC protesters, as it is currently ongoing in Ghana. And graphic business this morning is reporting that banking sector fraud cases rise. Bank of Ghana directs further action to reduce trend. And Cocoa Board shifts strategy, prioritizes spot sale for new season. Ending today's edition of Press Review from all the dailies in Ghana. Back to you in Dakar.
Indeed, many thanks, Christopher Teacher, there with the newspaper review.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, this afternoon we take a look at the recent development in Guinea-Bissau as President Umaru Sissoco Embalo has changed his stance to a rerun for second term, while examining the transition period in Guinea has been reflected in a session on Monday in Conakry between civil society actors and political parties on the occasion of the International Democracy Day. According to observations made by these actors, the breakdown of dialogue between key stakeholders and the transitional authorities, the restriction of freedoms, and the closure of some private media indicate that democracy is not doing well in Guinea. Well, I guess is governance expert Austin Aibing.
Yes, he has declined. That was a very remarkable comment after the meeting of the Council of States, the council in the country. It's important to point out that even though he said it was on the advice of his wife, I think the wife has seen the handwriting on the wall. The president has dissolved parliament over the last December attempted coup. And he has garnered a lot of supporters and also enemies. And the possibility that the enemies may overrun the state, 2 million population was high. And I think it was the right thing to be done. He has freed the country from a lot of tension. Guinea-Bissau has become a destination for crackdown of dissent voices, arbitrary arrest and repression and all of that. So with his announcement not to seek a second term would have released the tension in the country. You know, there's always a big one when an incumbent force is also participating in the electoral process, whether in Guinea-Bissau or in Nigeria or in Senegal, anywhere around the world. But he has also said that he knows those who will not replace him, even though he refused to announce those who will replace him. So it's clear that these will not be there. However, maybe he has a green on who will come take the country of 2 million people to a destination that the country may desire.
So yesterday, Monday, was Democracy Day. Guinea-Conakry is experiencing a shrinking civic space, same with Côte d'Ivoire, and even Nigeria is not left out of that group. Well, how can this narrative be changed and bring on board proper democracy as it is?
There's a stronger message now coming up within the ECOWAS as a region. With the exit of the Sahelian states, it is sending a very strong signal that our democratic system has been weakened. So all of this shrinking of civic space, arrest of dissent voices, prosecution of human rights defenders, they are all commonplace. Right now, in a region that used to be the pride of Africa, it's a very challenging situation. And so ECOWAS has got to step up. And for us to change this is for the heads of state to talk to themselves. The heads of state are right now the challenge. Because you see why when Captain Toure was talking about why they struck, apparently referring to, really talking to ECOWAS, that when constitutional coup happen, you don't talk, but when military coup happen, you want to fly. So it's clear that it's very difficult for ECOWAS to talk about constitutional coup. Very difficult because they are colleagues who are engaged in this coup. Why those military are not part of their system, so they are outsiders. So it's important that we gradually, ECOWAS, we have to change this narrative by enforcing the protocol. That's a good governance, democracy and good governance protocol, which they say they are currently reviewing. Hopefully by December, when the heads of state meet in their summit, they will finalize and then approve of the new protocol and stand by the new protocol, particularly when you look at presidential term limits, for instance.
That was Austin Igbe, a governance expert. And here is Sport News with Sankule Janko.
Hello out there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Nigeria Football Federation has reportedly agreed to appoint German coach Winfried Schäfer as the new head coach of the national football team, the Super Eagles. The NFF, according to media reports, reached an agreement with the German to take over from former Super Eagles star Augustin Eguavoen, who was temporarily in charge of the team. Schäfer will take charge after NFF's agreement with fellow German Bruno Labbadia did not materialize. The new Super Eagles head coach has vast experience in leading national teams, having had stints with Thailand, Jamaica and Cameroon. Elsewhere, the final draw for the CAF Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations Egypt 2024 will take place in Cairo on Thursday, 19 September 2024. The 6th edition of the CAF Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations is scheduled from 19 to 26 October 2024 in Hograta, Egypt. The participating teams are host Egypt, Senegal, Ghana, Morocco, Tanzania, Mauritania, Mozambique and Malawi. The tournament will see the 8 nations divided into 2 groups of 4. The reigning champions Senegal will hope to defend their title in Egypt. And Congo international Yohan Wissa will be out of action for months after sustaining an injury. The striker got injured when his Brentford side took on Manchester City in the English Premier League over the weekend. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And that's it on this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks and most of us second Mauduju for the technical support. Connect with us on all of our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, RWDR News, and Facebook West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. I am Imo Edet. Good afternoon.
And many thanks